Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Andrew Townsend. I'm the Campaign Marketing Manager here at eLearning Brothers. Today, we're going to be talking about 4 ways being like bamboo can help you succeed and find your purpose. This is going to be a very fun webinar, and everybody's going to be able to walk away with at least one useful thing that they can apply to their daily lives. So thank you for joining, and I'm sure you're going to find something interesting today. This session will be recorded. We will get a copy of it emailed out to everybody who has registered, so you'll be able to view that after the fact, and feel free to share that around with other people that you think may benefit from the message we get today. If you have questions, comments, or would like to participate in the webinar, please use the questions panel. That's a part of the GoToWebinar control panel. It's labeled questions. We'll get to as many of those questions as we can. We'll address those throughout the session, and that's how you'll communicate with us. Also, if you have not already, please feel free to check out the eLearning Brothers community, the Rockstars community. There's all kinds of great stuff out there, lots of conversations, tips, tricks, people learning together. We talk about e-learning best practices as well as authoring tools, and not just our authoring tools like Lectora, Scenario VR, the Rockstar Learning Platform, Training Arcade, things like that. But we also have sections and conversations happening about Articulate Storyline, Captivate, iSpring, PowerPoint, and others. So it's a great place to go and hang out and have conversations about e-learning. All right, so back to our topic here. We have a fantastic guest with us today. We have Ashley Thompson, Senior Learning and Development Business Partner for Infinity North America. And I'll let Ashley tell us a little bit more about Infinity North America and what they do. And without further ado, I'll just go ahead and turn the time over to you, Ashley.
Perfect. Thank you, Andrew. Hello, everybody. And as Andrew said, also, you have the ability to ask questions, but we also want you to use, hopefully he'll agree, the chat function as well. So when I do pose a question, you can actually respond. And we try to make this as interactive as possible for everybody and enjoyable. I'm with Infinity North America. It is a consultancy firm that helps people with learning journeys that are more experiential. We do instructional design. We also do massive facilitation for small, medium, and large scale organizations in general. So today we have put together kind of a gift for you, if you will, a way for you to be able to find your purpose. You know, after all the year we had last year and as 2021 has started, we wanted to be able to bring you some introspective aspects to be able to see what your purpose is and how to get there and how to move towards that goal while being like bamboo. And we'll talk about that aspect a little bit later. So with no further ado, let me go ahead and start. So we kick off first with, as I said, be bamboo. And we'll talk about what that really means in 1 second. But I wanted to pose a question. So this is where I'm going to ask of you to use your chat function, and hopefully we can read out a few of your comments just to see how it has been. Share 2 emotions you associate with this period. Now, this could involve a period that has been slightly backwards up to now and currently, but I want you to think about an emotion that involves that area. So that's your first emotion, just one. And then your second is looking towards the future. As I said, we're trying to find our purpose here. So what would be the 2 emotions that you have around your current state and also your future state? So I'm just going to give you a second to get your fingers ready to start typing a few comments and provide for us 2 emotions.
These are great. So for the past, not past, for current, we've got
current, right? Okay.
Stagnant, exhausted, frustrated. Those are some of the feelings coming for current. And then feelings for the future, we have hopeful, a lot of different times. We've got eager, we've got possibilities, lots of, I think we're hopeful. We're feeling better about the future than we are about today.
About the current or the past, exactly. And I think that's part of what we've been going through. So this is actually the reason, that's why I clapped a little bit, because I knew exactly some of these feelings, because currently I'm feeling the same way. It's almost a sense of fatigue, frustration to see where we were going, because last year was definitely a changing year for a lot of people, and we had to be a little bit agile about it. But looking towards the future, I think it is a common aspect that all of us have this hope. And hope, even if it is into the unknown or uncertainty. But today I wanted to focus a little bit around maybe finding that direction or finding that hope path for you. So I wanted to bring to light a tool called the Ikigai Tool. I don't know if we have a couple people that are already knowledgeable about the tool. Probably not so many. Maybe Andrew is seeing some yeses, some nos, but majority of nos. But let me give you a little history around Ikigai. Ikigai actually is Japanese for a reason for being, and it is a tool that if you look at Iki, it means alive, and Gai means worth. So it's a tool that helps explain your purpose. What it is, it came originally from a 1966 book that was done by Miko Kamiya. Hopefully I'm not murdering the name, so I apologize. But it is a book that hasn't ever really been translated. However, the tool is used a lot to help people focus on trying to find that spot, the Ikigai spot, the perfect purpose in life. Now, as we all know, we move through life and we have hopefully found something maybe professional that is giving us worth and value. We also maybe have passions that we have that bring us joy. But the goal of the Ikigai as we progress, I'll show you, is to try to blend and merge and find that, let's say, utopia spot. And I don't want to use utopia so much because that's something that maybe we cannot acquire, but trying to get to something that brings us the joy with the passion, with the purpose all together. So let me walk through, and actually the Ikigai tool is based on two actual factors. Sources that bring value, so bring value to the community, to the people, to everyone around you, but also the feeling that your value is in essence because of those sources. So being able to merge you into the value. So that is our objective today. And I'm going to walk through the tool so you can see it. So it actually starts off with passion. And what I mean by passion is first focusing on what I love. Some people may have passions, hobbies, joys that they like to do, paint, fishing. I personally love to facilitate. You will see that in a second. So moving on to the mission aspect is actually what the world needs. What is something that will bring value to the world to be able to share and show what we can do with the world? Into the next area, which is vocation, and that is what can you be paid for? Now that's a good question. I'm sure most people are thinking, we have to make a little bit of money to be able to sustain ourselves. And the profession, what am I good at? So what can I do best? You can see that we have crossovers. So you can see what am I good at is mixed, hopefully, with passion, also with the profession. People have always said, hopefully you'll find a job that you fully enjoy, that is something that truly brings passion to your life, that a work day never really feels like a work day if you love what you do, right? So that's where kind of that aspect comes from. And then the profession and the vocation is mixing those skills, which we're going to learn today as well, with what you do, and mixing passion with also the mission. So hopefully they can all come together. And as you see, as the center spot is the Ikigai. If you can have all four of these key things, what I love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you do best, that is truly finding a purpose in life. Okay, hopefully that's clear for everybody as I progress. And as we look at the Ikigai tool, I wanted really, how does that resonate with you individually or resonate with me personally? So I wanted to come up and I wanted to show you, you can actually take a moment, maybe not now because of time limitation, but it's really nice if ever you have a piece of paper, try to break it down into areas for a little bit more self-awareness. So try to think about, okay, what am I good at? These are boom, boom, boom. This is what I'm really good at, what I love, what the world needs, and I can be paid for. So if you look and you can determine those two things, you see that I've indicated the part on the left and the part on the right. And that's current, describe your situation. So where are you at? And some people have stated frustrated, fatigued, exhausted on where we said we were currently. But we also want to know where we can move towards in the future. So we want to explore what's missing. What do I need to do to reach the Ikigai? How do I actually jump and move towards getting there? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, is the steps you can take to actually move towards reaching your Ikigai. First, I do want to remind you that in order to put the steps into practice, you may actually have to have these 4 reflections. So I highly recommend when you have a quiet moment, just take a moment to try to break down the 4 areas. Okay, so to find your purpose, in order to move towards that future state, what do we need to have? What is something that we need to have? And the main key that we have to have is resilience. Now, this is going to be a different framing for you a little bit, but most people think resilience is something at the current state, to be resilient to what's happening. That's true, but it's also in a way moving towards resilience to be able to drive forces towards the purpose. So I want to pose a quick question and ask everybody, what does resilience mean to you? What is a definition? And think of it in a different aspect, more like bamboo.
Some of us might not know a whole lot about bamboo.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about around bamboo, but just in the essence, because right after that, I am going to talk about the differentiation. But does anybody have a little definition or a concept that they think can be for resilience?
Yeah, a couple of these are coming in. One being able to spring back or bounce back and continue to grow after being pushed around or pushed down.
Perfect.
Another person says surviving at all costs, at all.
Yeah, and that's nice. And the survival resilience, that's definitely like bamboo. But the ability to absorb a shock without breaking, that was a little bit about what we were talking about. Now let's think about the bamboo aspect, because people are like, how can you be bamboo? What are you talking about? So when we think about resilience or strength, let's say, most people, if I pose this question, what plant do you think of, or what tree or plant do you think of? Some people will refer to like an oak, right? The strength of an oak. Well, when you think about things that happen, whether it be in a current state or future obstacles that you may run into, people often think, okay, think about an oak that gets struck by lightning. What happens? It actually breaks. So the reason that I've posed to be bamboo, it's a different aspect. Be bamboo, think about bamboo. Bamboo is actually, it grows everywhere. It's almost indestructible in that aspect. And it is an aspect where it can keep resilience and flexibility and wavering, and it can just grow and flourish even in the harshest of climates. So I like, instead of being strong like an oak or have resilience like something strong that still could be fragile, I want people to think about bamboo and not strong. Its ability to cope with traumatic events like last year in a positive way, continue growing, reorganize one's life positivity in the face of difficulty or in the face of frustration, like some people had stated, to rebuild oneself while remaining sensitive to the positive opportunities, which is the future aspect we're talking about, without alienating one's identity, because one's identity is the purpose we're looking for, the Ikigai, your Ikigai. So that's the aspect that we wanted to talk about a little bit. So how can we do that? Before we do that, we need to talk about the 3 F's and the 5 R's. Now, listen, I know that Andrew said that you were going to get 4 ways, but I decided this morning that I was going to give you 5 because, 2021, you just deserve a little extra. So first, we're going to start off with the 3 F's, which are the 3 F's, the most common things that block us from moving towards the future. Now, what did we say about the current state? Some people are feeling tired, right? What happens is if we're fatigued, we're not moving towards an active future state. And I'll tell you how to move, don't worry, to the future active state. But the 3 blockers we have to know are there and how to, let's say, be resilient towards these 3 blockers. So the 3 F's are fatigue, tiredness, just, being fed up, fear. A lot of people don't move or step out to find their purpose or to find the actual direction or to mix the 2 or 3 areas that we love, that are passionate about with the mission of the needs, that we are scared. Maybe we're still in the same situation or we're afraid to get out of the comfort zone, which we all know about. And the last one is frustration. We've already stabilized that frustration is an aspect of the current state. When you're frustrated, it can block you from moving forward because you can get absorbed into that state. So these are the three main blockers, but I want to move and shift now towards what can we do? What can we do to pull these actually off? We want to be aware that they exist, because oftentimes in our lives, we move into default mode. Life passes, life keeps going. We are still going on with our jobs. Maybe we're not ready to make a change. It could be linked to fear. Or if you don't need a change, but you want to add a little bit more sprinkle of passion to what you're doing, you're maybe too tired. You know, as I said, life, kids, you have too many things going on. So the question is now, how can we absorb and also block these blockers? So I'm going to go straight in. We said before that it was the 3 F's, these 3, versus the 5 R's, 5 instead of 4, extra. So we're going to start with the first R, which is rediscover. What do you think I mean by rediscover as a way to move and get to our purpose? Any comments? Sorry, Andrew, very interactive webinar today.
Oh, it's great. We just got to give them a second to type.
Yeah, of course.
Rediscover the home row to type. Okay, let's see. Taking a new perspective could be rediscover.
Okay.
Looking at things with new eyes, rediscovering the world around you, but with new eyes. Find what you care about and then readjust, which is another readjust, rediscover.
Yeah. Okay.
You could rediscover old
everybody's
hobbies.
Totally accurate. Sorry, Andrew, what was the last thing you said?
Rediscovering old hobbies.
It could be. And rediscovering, and I put meaning here, but things that mean to you. So it could be rediscovering old habits, old hobbies or passions that you once had. But sometimes frustration, and let's go back to the blockers, is often linked to when you don't understand the why, right? So let's say we're in a job situation where we don't know the why we're doing what we're doing. Sometimes in situations of organizations, we're missing the why, whether it be our leader didn't talk to us about it, we didn't share the vision, but we're missing the meaning aspect. So let's talk about passions also. If we can bring the why around the meaning and talk about your passion. So let's name a few passions, everybody, and I'll give you mine too. And let's put this in perspective, something you can use. Sorry, Andrew, again. He's like, Ashley.
No, that's what I'm here for.
I love the passion questions.
Passions.
This should be an easy type.
Well, unless they haven't rediscovered them.
No, even originally. Let's talk about what's happening.
Passionate about nurturing the environment.
Ooh. Okay.
There's a good chance some people aren't willing to share their passions.
Yeah, no, but there's also passion's a really hard question. When people come down to the word passion, it's like the extreme of something. So it's like, I love to do this, but would I really consider it a passion? For example, passion of mine is staying connected with people. But I also look at fishing, love to fish, one of my passions. But it's like, what is the meaning of those? So I do like time alone, but I also love time with people. So in my vocational aspect, I tend to interact with people nonstop. So maybe that's why I've chosen a kind of side hobby where I'm alone, if you look at that. But
passionate about ensuring people feel heard and supported. Passionate about learning and self-sufficiency, gardening and building, hiking, working out at the gym. Motivating other people.
So this, I love that. So motivating other people, also hiking or getting out in nature. And we have to figure out, do we still practice that? Or let's go back to the nurturing and feeling of safe space that someone mentioned. You are passionate about it, but how active are you at implementing something around that? So if you're not active, because it's just something you're passionate about, but not every day or at least once a month, you carve out time for that, why not? So that's a question we have to ask ourselves. And if not, maybe you should rediscover the meaning of why it is so important to you. So not look at just, this was really important to me, let's say before, also the previous hobbies, but looking at the new you in a new 2.0. So, okay, so if you like the safe space, how can I implement a safe space for the people around me now? times change. You always have to readjust and rediscover and actually upgrade. So that's my point about rediscover. So that's our first tool we can use to move towards our Ikigai. So rediscover, and by self-awareness and filling in the tool of the Ikigai, you can actually respark that discovery instantly, right? By already writing down what you love to do, what you're best at, things like this can help you rediscover automatically. So now I'm going to move on to recharge. So let me ask everybody. We talked about the number one F, which was fatigue or tiredness. What is the antidote?
Self-care.
Ooh, that's nice.
Energy.
Okay.
Being active, which can be a form of self-care for sure.
Perfect. And that's my point. So it is about energy. So my question is, especially for the self-care, which I like, whoever said that, think about self-care, think about the energy. What are you doing now, currently, okay, to infuse energy into you? Now, this is a really deep question. So it's like, okay, what do I mean by that? Because energy, it's really hard to grasp, but let's say revitalize, invigorize, I don't even think that's a word, but being more energetic or make something more, bring it to a higher vitality. What are you currently doing, or what would you like to do if you're not currently doing anything? Because we saw a couple people said their current state was frustrated, tired. So what can you do to infuse more energy?
Some of the ideas coming through watching this webinar or other podcasts or other things like that.
Yeah, that could
Reflective
infuse energy.
thinking, turning our experiences into insight and making note on what I want to write and create in wood.
Ooh, that's nice. Hopefully that person
Laughter,
can
music,
share.
group activities, and finish some projects.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes I look at energy just as let me throw a crazy concept out to everybody. Sometimes I like to look at energy in a form of contrast. Let me explain. So if you continue to go on the same road and you're always going down the same, day passes day, we do the same thing. Okay, what can we do to get a surge of energy, a boost? We can actually do something totally contrasting to the way we normally do it. One quick, easy aspect is look at things in a different way. Maybe you normally check your email every morning at 8 o'clock and you go in, maybe do something totally different. Start by having a conversation with somebody, obviously remote or inside the office, whatever you choose, but change up the normal routine can infuse extra energy to move towards a different vigor, let's say. So this would be my little small suggestion. Something small tweaks can bring a new amount of energy. Now, the third R is remember. And I'm going to ask everybody to think about behavior, okay, specifically to you, and actually close your eyes for a second. And I can't see you, so I'm going to have to go in full trust here. Close your eyes and think about a time when you were successful, when you accomplished something. It could be professional, it could be personal. So now, hopefully everybody has a vision. And if I'm right, because I know most of you are kind of smiling or smirking, because the reflection of when you accomplish something brings back really good memories. So the aspect is you need to focus and remember those behaviors. So successes sometimes are difficult to accomplish, but you're always proud. And now you can see that if you use this same behavior, meaning resilience, or you use the behavior of maybe open-mindedness or active listening, or being able to use the growth mindset to accomplish something successful, then you try to harness that same behavior while moving forward. So how can you use this memory when you're next discouraged or fearful? Now we said fear was your next blocker. So the next time you're fearful, how can you use this memory to your advantage? Again, I will let you type. People are
Some
going to have
deep
difficulty
thoughts
answering.
here.
Pardon? Yeah,
Some
it's a
deep
deep
thoughts.
concept, no? Because if I think back, like if I accomplished finishing a marathon, the actual feeling behavior was not giving up, right? So I was like, phew, I had difficulty. So being able, how can I harness that? When I run into fear next time, maybe I dig deep and try to pull out that same behavior. So it's
Yeah.
going back to what worked before will work again.
So
And
that's
all
a lot of what
situations are
people are
different.
saying here. They're saying we can use these to motivate us to feel it again.
Yeah.
And another person says to give us the self-confidence to accomplish future challenges.
Yeah, so it's great. So that the aspect of going back in memory can always help you. So it's like, you know, work smarter, not harder. So it's like, okay, what can I use that's already in my armory to be able to drive towards the goal? So if I know that I want to accomplish something to get to my Ikigai, I need to go with the behavior that already has brought me success. So that's one aspect. Then we have resist. What do you think resist? Now, resist is a little bit more difficult to try to grasp. But when motivating towards finding your purpose, resist.
Resist falling back into old patterns and your comfort zone.
Avoiding
One
defaults.
person
I
says
love it.
resist writer's block. Yes, resist
Yeah.
that.
So for those of you who have to like do some design or things that you need or instructional design, resist the writer's block. I don't know if that's so easy to resist something that may happen, but maybe you have to remember what worked and then go back from there. But yeah, so resist also can be linked to willpower. I told you before, my marathon experience, it's about not giving up. So I like to call this area like #smart failing. You can try and try and try, and let's try to move forward, but don't lose momentum. And this is actually an aspect of this webinar that's going to be a little bit more difficult for us to do due to the fact that we can't see you and you're going to see me, so we'll see. Is I'm actually going to stand up, but I want, if people are able to stand up. And for some of you who know yoga, sorry, it's going to be a little bit interactive today. I want you to try to do a tree pose. Now, what is a tree pose? A tree pose is where you stand on one foot and you bend the other knee. And let me see if I can show you. I don't know if you'll be able to see. So
I'll do
Andrew's
it
going to
too.
have to, okay. So you actually stand on one foot. I'm going to lower my camera for a second so you can see. And you actually bend one leg to try to be in a tree and you try to stand there. So it's about balance, everyone. So you're supposed to stand there and you'll see how difficult it is just to stand there. Some people have great balance. Hopefully you can still see me. Perfect. Okay. Some people may have a little bit difficulty. In the same turn, I want you now to close your eyes and continue doing the pose.
Isn't that going to make me lose my balance?
Well, let's see.
Okay, so
Are you
one
up?
leg, got to
Okay,
move my
perfect.
chair. One
You're up,
leg and eyes closed.
one leg on your knee and your eyes closed.
Okay.
Okay. It's not easy.
Way harder with my eyes closed.
Exactly. It's way harder, which, hello, welcome to life. You're okay. So I'm going to ask Andrew, but I'm also going to ask the people, if you tried, and you know you're going to try when this webinar finishes, if you haven't already, the first time with the eyes open, how did it feel for you?
It was very easy, but I also
Okay,
feel silly.
that's okay. Silly's great. That's about bringing the energy back, Andrew. Come on now.
Okay.
Okay. So, but the point is, the first one is actually okay. But as it progresses, it gets harder. Like, so when your eyes were closed, did you feel that there was difficulty? Your leg wants
Yeah,
to come
it's like
down.
somebody starts pushing on me when I close my eyes.
Yeah.
Very
And you
frustrating.
may lose your balance and you may put both your feet down. The point here is the willpower to keep trying. Don't give up. Because the more you practice, the more you pick yourself back up, you're able with practice probably, to master this skill. So this is just a small little example of how you can actually resist the willingness to give up. Now, we all know, because we're all in kind of the same mindset, that if you stop learning or stop trying, then it's over, right? We want to continually upskill ourselves. So when you start a new skill, it's always difficult to acquire. Think about when you first started doing PowerPoints or Rise, or as you said, Articulate, if people are instructional designers, or if you're working in Excel. But now people kind of have it, you know, under their control in a way, because you practice, you practice, you practice. The more you practice, the better you get. So it's about the willpower. And where am I referencing willpower in this context is, I want the willpower to keep driving towards the purpose, the Ikigai purpose. So if you keep coming back to the 4 areas of what you love, what the world needs, what you're good at, and what can you do to have to make money, or what can you make a living as, you'll still drive and continually move towards the Ikigai. Any comments so far? We're okay?
A follow-up question. What was the word on the slide for remember?
The word on the slide for remember was
Behavior.
behavior, using that same behavioral context. The same behaviors that drove you to success should be the same behaviors you keep implementing, maybe in a different way.
Excellent.
Okay. So now we're going to our last, the 5th tool, good advertising, the +1 here. So is reset. What do I mean by reset? And by now people should be professional typers, so.
Well, yeah, but now they're trying not to repeat what they said before. Okay. Starting over, giving yourself a new beginning, reflecting on your past and making changes based off of that, resetting your mindset and expectations, getting rid of any old biases that you may have had.
Perfect. So reset, it's all of those things, but in addition, it's also flexibility. But being able to not just start over, but maybe shift and turn and move in a different way. So finding, okay, if this isn't working, the willpower for, you know, the resist aspect to be able to continue moving forward, but the flexibility to try different things, right? So to be able, as people often said, it's easy for us to go back in default mode. And if I could, I would love to have an entire webinar on getting out of default, because people do whenever you have a webinar, is they come with inspiration, motivation, but how do we stay out of the return to default? So the point is, to use these 5 aspects will keep us moving towards a direction of getting to the Ikigai, but also infusing a new energy, a new aspect. So we need flexibility also in our mindset, in our way, in our manner, in our behaviors, also in what we listen to, what we normally do. We need to shift on a dime. So be able to have an agile mindset as well. So, and in a way to get unstuck, I like to say, shift, pivot, move. So those aspects are the 5 R's. Do we have any questions so far? Because we have more.
Nope,
But
we are
clear?
good.
Good. Okay, so now I'm going to pass it to Andrew to play a video for us that maybe demonstrates for you a little bit around some of these key R's, and let's see what you think. After we watch the video, I want to hear your thoughts and reflections, the key takeaways, so just keywords and points.
All right,
to
here
you,
we go.
Andrew. Thanks.
Peut-être, peut-être. Voilà. Viens, 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 comme une fille. Cheese.
Thank you, Andrew. So I'm going to ask everyone to try to, what were the key takeaways that we saw from that, from the man? What did we actually see? What did we see in the beginning?
Adventure, says one person. That's the takeaway they got there.
Okay, true. But at the beginning, he was going to go sit on the bench with the old men, but he didn't have a chair, right? So he had to,
They're saying that he went from shy and rigid to adventurous and flexible, open to stepping out of his comfort zone.
Totally. And also a nice aspect that we saw was he realized that his chair was mobile. So you saw at the beginning, he moved a little bit just to watch the birds. And then he kind of hit him, well, I can go anywhere. So that flexibility or being able to resist the fact of staying in the same spot, being stuck, not giving up, moving from place to place. The biggest aspect that I like the most about the video is the end. He comes back with the chair and he puts it in front of the other men as to say what?
One is you can sit in one place all day, or you can go out and see the world, try something new. Don't just sit and watch the world pass by. He's also telling them you're not stuck. You can join me on this adventure, or you can take this chair and run.
Exactly.
Get out of your rut.
And we all need our chair, right? So the chair is one of the tools, like the 5 that I'm giving you, to be able to be more flexible, be more mobile. So hopefully, Andrew, you can still see my screen again, right? Okay. So the Be Bamboo mindset, the Ikigai mindset is, again, let's recap, just so you know your tools, because we ran through them quite quickly, is rediscover. Try to refine the meaning of the passion that you truly enjoy. Rediscover what joy brings to you as well, and the why. Recharge, the antidote of one of our blockers, the fatigue. So get in and find new energy. And when I say not just energy, but new energy, bring a new, otherwise default behavior comes in. Remember the behavior that brought you to success. Implement it again in a new way, a more agile way, a different way, but utilize. And also remembering where you were successful will help conquer number 2 of our blockers, which is fear. Sometimes we're unsure, uncertain, but remember about your successes helps you go and conquer over the fear. Resist, the willpower, the unstuck, being stuck, or being able, like our yoga tree pose, to be able to get back up and to try it again, because it's not going to be easy to find your true purpose in life. And the last one is the flexibility. This is the one, about the getting unstuck, being able to be agile, to move it again. So the aspect of finding your chair in a way. So my question to you that I want to pose is, in reflection to these, which do you have the most of? And a secondary question not listed, what do you need more of? So let's start first with what you have the most of, so we can see where we're starting and dealing with.
People say they have the most of reset.
Ooh, okay. So we have the most of the flexibility. This is probably after 2020. Well, a lot of us learned to be a little bit more agile and like bamboo than we knew, right? Okay, what do you need to improve on or gain a little bit more of?
A lot of people saying resist, and a couple rediscovers as well.
Okay. Which is nice. So resist, and also for me personally, I need more of recharge, getting the energy, but I like the resist, the willpower to not fall back into default. Perfect. Okay. And so what will you do next? How will you drive to find your Ikigai? How can you try to implement and reflect on what your purpose is? Because it is an individual journey. But first, we know that you must be strong and be bamboo. And that's the end of our presentation before we go into questions. So I'm going to stop sharing, or if you could do that for me, or you can just leave it there for a second. Now I can see you.
Yeah, we'll just
So
leave it there for a moment.
yeah, let's answer
If you guys would like
questions.
to continue this kind of conversation, there's Ashley's email there on the screen.
And I can always send you the Ikigai sheet if you reach out to me, so you know. But remember, it's just 4 main areas, just to review. The what I love, write down a couple things. What the world needs, okay, what you can get paid for, and also what you're best at. So understanding what these 4 things, and you just make a list and you can see where things start to move and cross over.
Sure. So one question, if we find that we already are in the little triangle amidst 3 of the 4, but we only have the 3, are
What do we
one
do?
of these more likely to help us achieve that 4th
It
piece?
depends on where you are. So it depends on what the 3 are. Of course, any of the 5 of these tools help you get to where you need to go. Sometimes you need a mix of a couple to keep pushing you, right? So you may need willpower to keep going and a little recharge to figure it out. In terms of, I think the question I would answer most is, if you have the 3, which is nice because you're all bonded in the 3, so you're almost getting there. What's stopping you from the 4th? So I would actually turn the question around, not just, let's say I'm missing what I love from my equation as a hypothesis. What's stopping me? Or where is it not that I'm not looking at it, maybe in a rediscover mode of sprinkling more of what I love onto the other 3 areas, or finding a different integration. So the point I would look at is when you see your 3rd area, like you said, or 4th area that you know that you haven't touched upon, why not? So then I would use the tools that we're giving you to be like, okay, let's try to find a different way. Let's, recharge and try to energize a new way of looking at things. Remember what you love, going back to it. Resist the using my willpower not to fall and default. Like, it doesn't have to be a pure thing of what I love. Like I told you, I love to go fishing. Okay, maybe I could try to find a different way to incorporate that love into what I do and what the world needs. It just has to be a little bit more creativity, let's say, as aspect. So there's not just one tool for one area, but these tools in terms of combination can be used to drive towards your answer. Hopefully I answered the question.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Another person, I struggle finding the practices to implement at work to actually evoke the changes we're working for. How can we go about finding the changes or practices we need to implement to get to the future that we crave?
Okay.
Especially when we're stuck inside, in our minds, we're stuck inside the boundaries set by our work environment.
Okay, I think that's what we need to define is what you want changed. So let's look at the actual change mechanism. So what do you have the power? What's in my control? What's not in my control? And try to do what you can inside my control button. So using all your tools, and things that are out of your control, maybe because you have a different stakeholder that has a different aspect or more, let's say, power over the change aspect of it, then what can I do to influence that stakeholder? So still using your tools on both areas, you could sit there and say, okay, we need to rediscover the meaning as to the why we need to drive to the change. So just know inside an organization, even if you feel that you're helpless and that you have no ability or power to change, you actually can. You just need to be more agile in finding out how you have that conversation. With who do you need to have that conversation? And being able to demonstrate the importance, right? People always go for positioning buy-in to see where it can actually behoove anyone to do change or to change towards what they need inside the organization. But I would break it down into 2 areas, my control and out of my control.
Excellent. I hope that answers your question.
Me
Let us
too.
know if you need
If
more
not, call
clarification.
me and I'll help you walk through that stakeholder drama or trying to figure out, because when people are saying, I want to change inside my organization, it could be a myriad of things, from
Yeah.
changing position to changing, the way people hear you, your influence on others. So it could be a myriad.
Excellent. I'm going to take the screen back
Okay.
and talk about e-learning brothers here and how this all relates for a moment. So you may have noticed this is a little bit different of a webinar from what e-learning brothers normally does. We're not talking about instructional design. We're not talking about how to use Lectora or the use of virtual reality in the learning world. Instead, we're talking about how you as an individual can become more resilient and be more successful, because if you are successful and you're trying new things and you're wanting to grow and be something more, your e-learning that you build will also become awesome. And our mission of becoming, making awesome e-learning can only benefit from you guys feeling like you're fulfilled and feeling great and finding that Ikigai. So that's one of the reasons we brought Ashley on. I also wanted to point out that our Rockstar Learning platform that we launched just a short while ago institutes a lot of new practices. Like there's learning paths that you can build into your stuff, so make sure that your learners are getting the things that they want, that they need, and without having to send them through everything. We have channels where people can discuss their learning amongst themselves. It's almost like they can create sub courses beneath the main courses, all within the Rockstar Learning platform. There's rehearsal where you can practice your training on a video camera and send that in for review and coaching and things like that. And all of that doesn't perfectly tie into Bamboo, but I feel that is something that we're doing to make it a little bit.
The e-learning can be a lot like Bamboo. It's got to be like agile,
That's right.
different too, right?
Is your e-learning resilient? So that's
not just
something.
resilient, but like popping up everywhere, coming and popular, and can bounce back, intrigue people, engage, right? So yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's all that we had to share today. We're getting a lot of thank yous, Ashley. This is very, very beneficial. People are going to take this to heart and try to find their Ikigai.
I hope so.
Another person says this has been a nice breather of a session where it's not technical and stuck down. So this has been fantastic. Again, we will send Ashley's information out in the follow-up email along with the recording of this session, so you can view it later or share it with those who you need. I think would benefit from the message. Again, thank you, Ashley. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys all on our next webinar. Have a great one.
Bye, guys. Be Bamboo.